There's so much to talk about. It's all shitty and stupid.
Did I leave the stove on?
Oh, by the way, just to clarify, this is all spoiler.
Because we don't care.
Because we don't want you to see this movie, and I'm going to say stuff, and I'm not going to realize, oh, probably should edit that out. No. You shouldn't see this movie, and I'm going to talk about it. Easily the worst Superman movie that's ever been made. Mm-hmm. I'm sure most of the budget, because of how fucking awful the effects look, all went to just making sure the actors came back.
Yeah.
Let's start at the beginning. The credits, better, I think, than Superman 3.
Yeah.
Better style. At least it looks like actual credits for a Superman movie.
Right, yeah.
They look way fucking cheaper, somehow, in a movie 9 years older than it.
I mean, Gene Hackman is back.
Yeah, he was gone for the third movie.
Yeah, so
yeah, I know you missed him in the third movie, but how did it feel to have him back?
I'm alright with you, Gene.
Because I know it's not your fault. You did what you had to do. The thing about Christopher Reeve that I noticed, half the time when he's Clark Kent, he's not even doing the voice. In the other movies, he just talks normal, like he's Superman, but he's like Clark Kent. He doesn't do the mannerisms or anything. He normally stands up, he doesn't do anything. The only time he kind of disguises himself when he's at the gym, which that was necessary to be a little cutaway to him at the gym with Lacey.
I mean, I got a good chuckle out of that.
But it's literally the only time he disguises himself. Every other scene, he's just talking normal, but he's wearing the suit and glasses. So this movie opens with, I guess it's some Russian space station. What should have killed a man being hit by some space debris, and Superman just oh, don't worry, I got you. That's fine. Superman saves the guy, puts him back in the thing, and then somehow Superman says goodbye to him, have a nice day, in space.
Can't hear anything in space, guys.
You can't talk in space. It don't work like that. I can accept Superman can breathe in space because he doesn't have to breathe. But Superman does not have the ability to talk in space because you just can't.
Maybe that's one of his superpowers.
Oh, we want to talk about superpowers he has in this movie? So, let me set the scene for you. The main villain in the movie is fighting Superman. And the fight is as shitty as they could possibly make it. It's basically, they're in space, bad guy goes to a famous location, starts messing up or fucking with the famous location. Superman stops him and fixes it. And they do it 3 or 4 times, and that's the fight. So the first place they go is the Great Wall of China. And so the bad guy's I'm just gonna start blowing up the wall, and Superman's oh no, better save the people. So he just kind of does his laser eyes, but they're blue, and he just looks at the wall, and the bricks he just fixes it. What the fuck is that?
I mean,
this was written by people. Someone wrote this and said, yeah, I'll do it. MacGuffin in this movie, a glowing green crystal from Krypton.
It's supposed to be kryptonite.
You would think it's kryptonite, but in this movie it's no, it will help you, and it's only a one-time use. Doesn't say what you do, how to use it. One-time use, I'm for what? How do you even know when you're supposed to use it? They have one shot of him flying towards the camera.
Really?
It is the same shot 6 times, and there's 2 shots that are a variation of it. They just changed the color in the background. Lex is back in jail, and he breaks out of jail from his nephew, Lenny Luthor. And I swear the direction for John Cryer was, can you be the most annoying asshole that you could possibly think of?
Alright! Yeah, you're just an experiment, freako. Oh no! It's like cold. Dude of steel. What? Whoa, good thing I bought my drums.
Lex, you're not gonna believe this. But it's Superman!
Lois and Clark, I guess, are on their way to work, and Clark just misses the train. The subway driver just has a heart attack or some shit, and he's just like, I gotta save the day. And then, like, so he stops the train and everything, gets everyone off, and then he, thank God, has the time to let us all know.
I'd like all the people back there to know that our subway system is still the safest and most reliable means of public transportation. Thank you.
He just becomes Metropolis subway spokesman. I have a feeling the budget was somehow sponsored by, like, the New York subway system or some shit. It had to have
How
been.
though? Like,
I don't know. Would that be the weirdest thing you heard about this movie?
no.
No, it wouldn't. Lana Lang. Remember her from the last movie? She hasn't even mentioned what the fuck happened.
Yeah,
Like, there was a whole storyline there, and like the next movie, not even reference. They didn't say like she got fired or she went back to Smallville.
Right.
Nope.
9 times out of 10, I'm wrong. Like, I assumed she was just like, you know what? I'm the new love interest. I should get paid way more than this bitch over here. Lois was like, bitch. Studio executives were like, bye. And that was it.
Superman wants to get rid of all the nukes to start world peace. Quest for peace. He goes back to the Fortress of Solitude and like talks to the elders. The elders are like, hey, don't meddle with the affairs of Earth, or like don't meddle with their world.
Which,
What
I
has he
mean,
been doing
yeah, he's
for the
been-
last 3 movies? Saving someone, although is good, that's meddling.
Time travel.
Time travel in 2 movies. 2, 1.5, depending on what version you watch.
I'll say 2.
2.
If he really wanted peace, he could just, be a dick about it and just become a dictator.
Yeah.
That'd actually be a pretty fun movie. Just see asshole Superman.
Mhm.
Like, fuck are you gonna do?
Injustice, basically.
Yeah, this movie probably had the worst editing out of all of them.
There's like some scenes that there's not even transitions.
Yeah.
Another scene just
It's
starts.
just like,
So he goes back to his apartment. He's all depressed because now he feels bad. Lois and Clark are supposed to go somewhere for some event. Hey Clark, are you okay? He's like, yeah. Like, do you want to talk about anything? He's like, oh, I'm just really confused with what to do right now. And he's like, let's get some fresh air. And she's like, yeah, let's get some fresh air. And this bitch just walks off with Lois in hand off his balcony when they're falling. He lets go of Lois's hand and then like falls more. I don't know, gravity affected him more. And she just stands in front of a blue screen shittily. So he reveals his identity to her. They literally recreate the fucking scene where they're flying together in the first movie, except the budget is 1/3 of what the first movie was. So somehow a movie that's almost 10 years older, came out 10 years later, is way fucking worse.
yeah.
And then, like, he does, like, the little trick where he's like, well, I'm gonna drop you. And she's like, she's not even falling. She's kind of gliding down to Earth. And then he's like, I gotcha. So then they go back to his apartment and immediately does the mind-melding kiss. What the fuck was the point of that? First, they brought back a really nice scene from the first movie and ended it with a shitty ending from the second movie. Apparently, Superman can, by the way, just speak to the UN whenever the fuck he wants.
What are they gonna do to stop him?
Yeah, I mean, fair point. So then he has like his peace speech and everything, and everyone's weirdly okay to give up all of their nukes. Everyone. So their solution to getting rid of all the nukes is to just send them to space, and Superman takes them one by one. But I mean, just flying back and forth the sun, that's just gonna be a hassle. So I guess he went to Space Costco and bought the biggest fucking net you could find.
Yeah.
And just puts them all in one big ass net. And he's like, throw them in the sun. And
That
he goes,
is actually the most comic book thing I've ever seen.
to be fair, if I saw it in a comic, I wouldn't question it as much as a movie.
I mean, it brings up a good point. Like, some stuff that you see in books or that you read in books
It doesn't translate.
does not translate on screen.
Lex, now escaped with his nephew, Lenny, has an idea.
Destroy Superman!
Him and Lenny go to the Museum of Superman. In this museum, there is a strand of Superman's hair that can hold up 1,000 pounds. But you can cut it with hedge clippers. Also, did you notice when he cuts it and the weight falls? When he breaks the glass that falls into the case, it breaks the little cutout thing that they had. So the ball just falls into a hole that was pre-put there. Then they make this like gooey shit. He puts like gold and black cloth with like this little box. Did you notice the ash they were putting in there? Do you know what that's from?
No.
Bizarro. That was a cut fight scene. Bizarro was in the movie.
Huh.
I mean, they don't call him Bizarro, but he's clearly supposed to be Bizarro.
Yeah.
And they like had a whole fight scene with Superman, and Superman killed him. Then Lenny got the ashes from Bizarro, and that's what they put in. So like, okay, Nuclear Man's basically Bizarro 2.0. Quick note, nothing to do with the plot, just interesting. Why was Lex Luthor dancing with some lady in some Victorian era clothes? In that one shot.
Because why not? That's what I do on my Tuesday nights.
Lex like hijacks or like somehow sneaks the little box of like Superman DNA onto this missile. This missile gets launched and it goes into space, and Superman's like, oh, it's another nuke. So he throws it into the sun. And because of this causes a reaction and births Nuclear Man. Nuclear Man somehow is born with a whole Superman suit, logo and all, and silver telemarketer nails, and really likes to yell. And Nuclear Man's biggest weakness? If he is out of the sun, he just turns off. And like Lacey's like all up into Clark and stuff, and Lois is like, I'm gonna stick with Superman. Get it? Because they're the same person. During all this, Lois and Lacey set up a double date with Clark and Superman. I had to question how this fucking sitcom got in my Superman movie. So Superman has to constantly go back and forth between being Superman and talking to Lois while distracting Lacey. And when Lois isn't looking, he goes and turns around and turns to Clark talking to Lacey. And there's a point where Superman has to go, and they're all by the door. And so Superman's like, shit, I gotta leave. So you hear the doorbell ring, and they turn, and they're like, huh? So when they turn to look at the doorbell, he leaves, turns to Clark Kent, and when they open the door, it's Clark. Who the fuck rang the doorbell if Superman was on inside the apartment?
The Flash.
Oh, fuck. So Superman finally meets Nuclear Man. And the fight, I don't know, they fall off the building, they kind of roll around as they fall down to Earth, and then it cuts to like the thing where like they go to China, and he's like, oh no, the Great Wall, let me rebuild it with my laser eyes. And it's like, oh no, the Statue of Liberty. And like he just picks up Statue of Liberty. One of the funniest images in the movie is just like a wide establishing shot of like the skyline of, and you just see like a little tiny Statue of Liberty just flying by. So as Superman's carrying the Statue of Liberty back to its spot, Nuclear Man is like, nah, and he just gives him like a little cat scratch on the neck with his little like, I don't know, radioactive telemarketer nails. And he's like, ah, my neck. And he puts Statue of Liberty back. He's like, oh, I don't feel good. I better go home. So then Clark is gone for like days, and like no one's heard from him. He hasn't been calling in for work. No one knows what happened to him. So then Lois is like, I'll go look for him. Like, I think I know where to look. And at first, the way it's set up, I thought she went to some random ass like motel. It's his apartment. And she's like, I knew I'd find you here. Well, yeah.
Because I live here.
Because who else would be in my apartment? The one I live in by myself. Now that Clark is like, I don't know, he's like really sick due to like the radiation or whatever. So he finds the green crystal that from the beginning of the movie, and he's all old and shit, because that's what radiation does to you. It makes you old. And he's just like, I got it. And then the next scene, he's fine. So as this happens, Nuclear Man comes up, sees a newspaper, and it like has a picture of Lacey on it. And he's like, I'm in love with you now, so I'm gonna go to Daily Planet. So he goes there, and Superman's waiting for him. He's like,
Where is the woman?
and somehow Superman knows who he's talking about. Superman is like,
Give it up, you'll never find her.
She's in her room. She doesn't want to talk to you.
Nuclear Man's like, oh yeah? Well, fuck you. And he just starts blowing shit up. He starts blowing cars up. He's like blowing people away. He hits the rewind button on the cops. And you know what Superman does? He yells at him.
Stop! Don't do it! The people!
Like, yeah, he's fucking with them. How about you do something?
Superman has a tendency to not do Superman-like things.
Nuclear Man does like some Star Wars like Jedi Force shit, and like raises people up with the like laser eyes. Again, the laser eyes are heat vision, wall building, and anti-gravity. But Superman's anti-gravity vision is, I guess, anti-gravity vision. Superman tricks Nuclear Man into going to Lex's penthouse. Superman tricks Nuclear Man into the elevator, closes it, flies him to the moon, and because there's no light in there, Nuclear Man's powerless. But there's a little tiny crack in the elevator! And the sun rises and rejuvenates Nuclear Man.
And he's back.
He's back, bitch! And you know what this movie was missing? A slow motion, wire jumping, cheap ass fight scene to take place as they just jump around the moon until Nuclear Man just pile drives Superman into the moon. And he flies off and he flies back to Earth. Grabs Lacey and then leaves Earth. And he just starts flying. I don't know where he's flying to, but the thing is, the whole time, Lacey is in space without a spacesuit and she's just fucking breathing. And then Superman's like, oh shit, if he's facing the sun, I know what to do. I'll move the moon in front of the sun, cause an eclipse. Which, by the way, I'm sure that has no effect on the Earth whatsoever with that drastic change. Nuclear Man's like, oh, I'm powerless again. And then Lacey's like, I'm floating away, alive in space without a suit. And Superman's like, I got you. So he takes her back to Earth. He flies back up. He grabs Nuclear Man. And he drops him in a nuclear power plant. Why would that kill him if he's Nuclear Man?
You would think he'd be resistant.
You think that would make him stronger?
Yeah.
Nope. Kills him. Fucking kills him. Ready to grade it?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? No. This movie's awful. Bah!